Today, we're going to be looking at a 1QB rookie mock draft that was sent in to me. We're going to go pick by pick, analyze the players, analyze the market, look at this mock draft, think about all the other mock drafts we looked at, and talk about the player values. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing mock drafts. We're looking at these rookies. We're looking at the player values for these rookie drafts to help you build your dynasty teams, to help you win those rookie drafts. We do this every day. We've done this for years here on the channel. We ain't going nowhere. Click that button. Stop missing out. But this is a 1QB rookie mock draft sent to me. We're going pick by pick. Let me know your thoughts on the picks below. Also, who got snubbed that you would have drafted over some of these guys. And one thing I can tell you by looking at these drafts, they're vastly different this year. They're highly volatile from draft to draft. There's always something different in these drafts, which is very interesting, and I like looking at this. That's one thing I can say about the market sentiment. But let's dig in. Let's look at our first pick off the board. First player off the board, you guessed it, Ashton Jeanty. Let's make it quick with him. He is the top player on the market right now. I've not really seen a mock draft where he wasn't the first pick off the board. Super flex, sometimes a quarterback will go, but that is not highly likely here in 2025. Ashton Jeanty is your top player in most leagues, all leagues, a lot of leagues, 95% or something like that. Super flex, 1QB, doesn't matter. He is going to be the first player off the board. And market sentiment is saying that. And I'm looking at mock drafts. There might be one here and there somewhere out there in the world that's different, but he's the top guy. We know this. We're looking at the market. We're looking at mock drafts. It's hard to see him not going in the first round, not seeing highly drafted in the first round. Looking at the Raiders, who's got the 6th overall pick, who is dead at the running back position. They could be drafting him. Hot spot's the Cowboys, but I don't see him falling far. And we're looking at the wide receiver spot. It's pretty dank this year. Market sentiment's low. We got a lot of dudes at the running back position this year, which is going to make drafts very interesting. The one thing that will make drafts very interesting this year for both Dynasty and Redraft is that the veteran running backs did not get impacted that much by injury. So therefore, we get into the 2025 season. That should regress to at least average or increase the average. And if that happens, then some of these backups that we've been waiting for are going to start getting their opportunity. A couple more next year, because we can't stay at this low of a pace for a long time. The rubber's got to meet the road. Things got to transition. Ashton Jeanty's going to be a workhorse. We know this. That's why he's getting drafted so high. That's why everybody's looking at him in their Dynasty rookie drafts right now. And the market for the running back position's got to turn over. One way, shape, or form. It cannot stay like this year. One thing we are seeing is a lot of two running back sets, especially on the field at the same time even. And we're also seeing like the mainstay running back hold on to the job in a few cases. And the newly drafted up-and-comer just say, hey, we got you as an insurance policy. You are back there. You'll get some carries here and there. We love having you, but we're going to rock this James Conner. We're going to rock this guy, that Kyren Williams. See what's going on. And if the wheels fall off, we got you. Stay tight, son. But thinking about that, I think that's okay because I do not see 2025, 2026, 2027 looking like 2024 for the running back position. I just don't think it can stay that way. Going over to the 102. T-Mac's coming off the board. Not surprised. Not surprised. I'm paying up for wide receiver. I would definitely do that. Market sentiment's low. A lot of people like T-Mac. A lot of people don't like T-Mac. Some people are calling him a contested catch merchant. Some people are saying that he doesn't create enough separation. I'm seeing that on Twitter. I'm not saying that. I'm just relaying that because that's what I do. And I allow you guys to make your own assessments. You don't have to have him at 102 in your drafts, 103, 4, 5. You can fade him if you want. I don't care. I'm just happy for you. Happy that you're playing the game. Honestly, though, back-to-back, big-time seasons, 18 touchdowns in the last 2 years. Freshman season looking hot at 702 and 8 touchdowns. We're getting it done. Big play ready. First round pick. I can't see him falling out of first round. Something has to happen bad. Something has to happen real bad for him to fall out of first round. He's going to be a first rounder, going to get opportunity to prove himself, opportunity to fail, and that's more than a lot of wide receivers. Just to get the opportunity to fail is more than a lot of wide receivers get in the National Football League, more than a lot of players. That being said, at the 102, we see the talent on the field, we see the tape, big playmaker here, a guy that can get downfield, make plays happen. That's what you're getting out of T-Mac. I'm excited for the kid. I think he's a fun prospect. We're going to the third player off the board right now. And another prospect that I like a lot. These drafters liked a lot, obviously, coming in. But we're looking at Kaleb Johnson. Kaleb Johnson, 1,500 yards this year. 779 yards as a rookie. 4.42 yards after contact per attempt. We got the size. The size down there is per PFF. But I checked the tape. He looking thick. That's all I care about. And we can pull away in the open field. We can create opportunities when we're looking through the second level or working up the gut with a good anticipation while working up to the line of scrimmage. Kaleb Johnson's that dude. He's going to go in the second round, more than likely. He's going to get good draft capital. He's going to get good opportunity. And the thing about him, when you compare him to the running backs last year, he's probably the first running back taken. When you put him next to Jonathan Brooks with the torn ACL, he's probably getting drafted. He's probably on the Carolina Panthers. He's probably on the Carolina Panthers if they're looking to swing for the fence at a running back in the second round. He was fourth on his team in targets. The top pass catcher only had 40-some targets on the season per PFF. If the number's wrong, it's on them. That's what they say. 20-some targets on the year, 22 balls caught, 188 yards. You're getting good volume here. Good in the passing game because 11.5 yards after the catch per reception. And what I like to look at is, can this guy scoot in the open field, make guys miss, run through you, run around you. He's got all the goods to his game. Good upside here. I think we're going to get good draft capital. I think this is a good pick. Not my second running back, but it's like in a tier. He's in there. He's in there. He's a top guy for me. He's a guy that I'm looking to draft in a lot of drafts. This 104 pick, I want to hear about you in the comments below. What you think about it, the price, the player, and everything else. And I'm honestly just being Bayesian here. I don't have flags either way. I don't really have any flags in this draft yet, and I didn't really last year. Honestly, I didn't have any guys that... There was some later round picks I guess I liked once values came out because they got cheap. But right now, considering we don't have true values yet on how cheap guys are going to be, the value shopper in me is just waiting for that. But right now, when we go to this next pick, 104 off the board, Travis Hunter, how does that make you feel? A lot of people are drafting him up. A lot of people are pushing for him. At the wide receiver spot, we saw the talents, but we also saw it at corner. There's a high probability, or there's a probability, maybe not high, that he goes to the Giants early. He's going to be a top 5 selection, somewhere in that range, maybe 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, something like that. He's going to get good draft capital, a chance to play wide receiver, a chance to get that opportunity, but also a chance at cornerback. Teams are going to do what they're going to do with him. But there's a lot of gamble with that, even on draft day. Even on your draft day. Nothing's going to be clear-cut until games are played with him. That's the risk with him. You're not going to really know. You'll hear things from training camp. You'll watch clips from training camp. It's going to be from me. Click that subscribe button right now. This is the channel that covers the training camp clips in July. The OTA clips, the rookie camp clips. It's right here. Click that button so you don't miss that stuff. And you're going to be seeing Travis Hunter and what he's doing on the field. And that's going to help you make your assessments. But when I'm looking at Travis Hunter right now, I don't know what's going to go on with him. And that's going to impact his value massively either way. If he's playing a lot of corner and a little bit of wide receiver, then his odds of being good for fantasy, he might be good for football. It might be great for football. But the odds of being stable for fantasy and at the 104 pick is in jeopardy. But if we're playing mostly wide receiver, we got okay quarterback play, we get to that range, and we know the talent's there, then it might be worth it for you. We saw it. We saw what he could do on the field. He's a big-time playmaker. He might be the reason why Shedeur Sanders is getting drafted so high. 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. Number 1 player in his class, 5-star prospect, depending on recruiting sites. But he was a big-time prospect coming out. A top prospect. I'll say that. I won't jump over my skis because I'm also working on memory. But I did do the video on him. We've been covering prospects that far back and even prior to that. Travis Hunter, big-time playmaker you need to pay attention to. 104, let me know what you think about that, but we're moving on to the next pick. This one's one of my favorite players in the class. A fun prospect, a lot of production to his name. Omarion Hampton at the 105. And I'm not surprised when I look at the Rolodex of names. I knew he was coming soon off the board. You just look at the production the last 2 years. 30 touchdowns combined. Over 3,000 yards combined. That being said, we got the size, the highlights, the tape. It all looks good. It all checks out. 67 missed tackles each in the last 2 years. 4.35 yards after contact per attempt on 281 carries. Solid work there, Stallion. 45 carries at 10-plus yards. You watch him on the field, he looks good. He finishes his runs. There's a chance he goes in the first round. Playing on the mock draft simulator on PFF, you're looking at the back end of the draft, and if there's nobody who's truly falling, and you're looking at some of those teams need some help at the running back position in the back half of that draft. And in the first round, you're already looking at Jeanty being zapped up. Omarion Hampton here. I mean, you look at this resume, you look at the highlights, there's a chance for that. I'm not saying it will, there's a chance. And those teams aren't going to have the opportunity to get a Kaleb Johnson or a Omarion Hampton in the second round. They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone unless market sentiment and the NFL is a little bit down on these guys. I don't think it's going to be. Jonathan Brooks was a little high last year. Omarion Hampton compared to Trey Benson. Trey Benson, back-to-back 900-yard seasons. He almost doubled that in 2 seasons, each of those. Almost doubled that. More size, better vision, more confidence with what he's seeing. This is a good prospect here. 105, I think that's cheap in 1 QB. I think they went a little too cheap on us. I think they faded him a little far. I like him a lot. We're moving on to the 106 pick here off the board. Like it or love it, the game's still yet to be played tonight against the team he's going up against, which is Texas. 106 off the board, Quinshon Judkins. So, the narrative with him is that we go to Ohio State, we're not productive, and some people are lied on that. However, as a freshie, we come in, carry the workload, 1,500 yards, we proved ourselves. Proved ourselves the next year. And then at Ohio State, we calm it down a little bit, but we're sharing the backfield with a damn good running back. At 106, if you told me, is he the 4th running back off the board back in 2022, 2023? I'd be looking at you crazy. Then he comes over to Ohio State, 839 yards, 10 touchdowns, sharing the backfield. And honestly, we knew he was going to share the backfield. So why did he make this transfer? It's to win an Natty, and honestly to go to the NFL game with a little bit more tread on the tires. Because he was getting ran hard there at Ole Miss, getting a lot of work. We're getting a little bit of work in the passing game. I saw someone account that he wasn't getting a lot of work in the passing game. Those are people that just look at the counting stats at the receiving spot. They're right there, and they don't put everything in there. Yards after contact per attempt, 3.38 as a freshman, 3.21 in his second year at Ole Miss, 3.02 right now at Ohio State. We're catching balls out of the backfield, 22 in 2023. We increased that at Ole Miss. Looking solid there. And Quinshon Judkins, he can catch the ball enough out of the backfield. And on top of that, we can grind it between the tackles. We've proven to do that. We've already proven that. And workhorse levels, that's potential there. But also this game is a game where running backs share the backfield anyways. So if given a chance to see 10 to 12 carries in a game, touches, opportunities, whatever, he still has the potential to be fantasy relevant and be good for the fantasy game, Dynasty, for what we're looking at for these prospects. I think 106, I put him in last year's draft. I would draft him over Jonathan Brooks. Easy. Easy. One, his freshman season is as good as the final year for Jonathan Brooks, pretty much. And account for him being a freshman, sharing the backfield. Account for that. And then we go to our second year. It reduces a little bit, a little less carries, I guess by 3, but still. And then we go to Ohio State. We know what's going on there. We're just sharing the load a little bit. We got more wear on the tires going into the college game. Throw out that ACL. You just look at those resumes point blank. Of course. And you look at it back then, you probably would have said the same thing. Moving on to our next pick off the board. Now you got some names in your head. You're looking at some running backs. There's some running backs you would have picked over Judkins, some wide receivers. But our next guy, Luther Burden, coming off the board here. Odds are good he's getting drafted in the first round. Unless something happens, something going on with the scout, something that we're not aware of. You look at this group of wide receivers, there's no way he's not going in the first round. There's going to be a spot in the draft where there's some good landing spots for him. After the catch, you're looking at 303, 724 in 2023s, 373. No crazy numbers when it comes to yards after the catch per reception. However, when I'm looking at Luther Burden here, I see upside. I look at him get involved in the offense early as a freshman in all sorts of ways, 18 carries there. And then you're seeing him as a sophomore, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. Is the chances of him being a generational prospect in Dynasty kind of lofty for him? Yeah. Can he be a good overall player for your fantasy team? Yeah. And we got running backs on the board, so really it's him versus these next running backs. 107 versus some of the other draft slots I've seen is actually pretty tame and doable for a first-round wide receiver when you're not looking at a draft where 4, 5, 6 first-round wide receivers are likely to come off the board. That being said, when I see that, that could be a great value for you because he's going to get the opportunity to prove himself, to fail on the field, even if you like him or don't like him, because the odds are very good unless something happens that he's getting drafted in the first round. Moving on to our next pick here coming off the board. I like this player a lot. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think his game transitions well for fantasy football. And it doesn't matter what's going on the field, if he's sharing it in the backfield or not. TreVeyon Henderson, because we're explosive. That freshman season back in 2021, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns in 2023, 8 so far this year. We're sharing the workload with Judkins, like we said. We're massively explosive. We got 23 catches on the season, 27 as a freshman. Again, this is a very explosive runner. This is a guy, if he's got a lane, he's got grass in front of him, it's over with. He's housing it. This is a running back, and on the right team, can be a dangerous asset. Can be a very dangerous asset for your fantasy team. Can be a very dangerous asset for your NFL team, especially if you got another running back there. I could definitely see him being good, sharing the workload with another running back. Definitely can see that. Point blank, easy to do. TreVeyon Henderson, I think he's a good candidate for your Dynasty team, even at this price tag, and I think that's cheap for him. I think he's going higher in a lot of leagues. Moving on to the 9th pick off the board. This one's a fun one. I like this player a lot. You're going to see him tonight, though. Emeka Egbuka. 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2022, 824 this year. We had some injuries throughout his career. On top of that, we got a good route runner. Odds are pretty good that he's getting drafted in the first round. He's very dependable. This is a very skilled player that's really going to be a good asset for his NFL team. That's going to have a good probability to give you something in fantasy. I know we're in the first round. You don't want to hear that word something for a player in fantasy, but Emeka Egbuka's got some upside too because he's nuanced. He can create separation. He's very dependable. Just a very dependable lunchbox carrying wide receiver here that with great volume, great system, great things coming along his way, could surprise you when it comes to production. He's a guy that if you're looking for a wide receiver, you're not in the range of a T-Mac or anything like this. This is a wide receiver you might think about. And I see him going earlier in some other mock drafts. 109 is kind of cheap, but the running backs are up there. That being said, This is where the range of the draft gets a little dicey for some people, where things and opinions start to flip, but it's also geared towards the running back in a lot of these mock drafts. That being said, he had a big game last night. A lot of touchdowns. He's still scoring touchdowns. Nicholas Singleton at 110. Highly athletic, has a lot of juice. He had a good recruiting profile coming out of high school. Kind of lived off that. Looked good as a freshman. 12 touchdowns. Things kind of cooled off throughout his career. But he's a running back in the right system. Could be very good. He's one that's just simmering right now. And we want to see if that steak will cook. We also want to see what that draft capital is going to look like. He's doing a good job leaving the college game on a high right now, especially with what he did last night. Nicholas Singleton is a running back that we're monitoring heavy. I do not know if the NFL is going to like this profile or not. I'm going to monitor him heavy. Combine, pro days, workouts, all those clips. I'm going to have a lot of those. He's a player I'm paying attention to. I like the talent. I like what I've saw throughout the years, especially that recruiting profile was spot on. I hope he's not living off that when it comes to market value. 3.45 yards after contact per attempt prior to last night's game. Singleton can be a monster. He's got a lot of upside, a lot of juice. I don't hate this pick, especially right now, especially when we don't have other factors involved. Another big player's coming off the board. This is when you guys are going to get a talking. I want to know your opinions, where you want him drafted at. Some people don't like him. Some people love him. And we're looking at Cam Skattebo. And what we saw this year was a guy on a mission. 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 102 missed tackles forced. So almost double, pushing double of what Omarion Hampton did on missed tackles forced over the last 2 seasons. It's a little bit of a stretch because that's about 30 off, so not really, but 4 or 9 yards after contact per attempt. What I like about Skattebo is his mindset. What he said in one of the interviews, that even if he's the third running back on the team, he's going to still think of him as the best in the league, the best player. And the thing is, with his mindset, if he 100% believes it, then he's probably a guy that manifested all this. And if he truly believes that and continues to push forward, and we see this going forward, it might be like the mindset so strong that it's undeniable type of deal. If you believe in that, kind of like the Conor McGregor approach going into his career, we might catch that out of Skattebo. You can agree or disagree, but I'm not even saying it as a statement. I'm saying like I saw that and I heard those words, and there might be a correlation, causation to that, to what we're seeing now. And honestly, without that mindset, we wouldn't be getting to now. Like, if you have doubt in your mind, you're not going to get there. And it's not saying not anybody else that we've talked about today has that. That being said, Cam Skattebo is a very interesting prospect, 111 off the board. I can definitely say at this part of the draft, there are some wide receivers I like. There's a lot of running backs I like. There's a lot of prospects I like. And I'm watching the market values of what the NFL is doing. 1,700 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns. He had a big year. He definitely earned the hype this year. Definitely earned some money this year. A player that we're going to watch. I did not draft him here. They drafted him there. I did not rank him there. I'm still trying to figure out what I really think about him. But I do know that mindset is very interesting. It has caught me on guard for the draft process. I'll be watching during the combine interviews to see how that holds up and how he holds himself. Let's go to the final pick off the board here. We're looking at Devin Neal. Devin Neal. I see him get ranked up here and there. I see him fall in ranks here and there. This is a running back that can explode, that has a lot of potential here. Devin Neal, all he does is produce. That's all he does at Kansas. That's all he does is produce. And he's a guy that can hold it down for your NFL team. He could be a good, 1B back, an extra back on your team, getting some touches here next to the starter. He could be the sneaky guy. Devin Neal's a guy that can sneak up on you. Look at it, 6.1 yards per carry, 6.3, 5.8, 16 touchdowns, 16 touchdowns. Look at the yards after contact per attempt. Last 2 years, 3.73, 3.63. We can catch the ball out of the backfield. We can do a little bit of everything. We can definitely do that. This could be a player that sneaks up on you. But who fell out of this first round that you wish got drafted? We're going to have some 2-rounders, 3-rounders, 4-rounders, 5-rounders coming up sooner than later. Those will come my way. I get these all the time, people sending them to me. I cover the drafts. I go over the players. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.